Infighting in Kenya Kwanza, growing divisions, war of words, and the coming UDA elections. This we base on what we have seen in the past couple of days. In Nyeri, I think, was it on Sunday or Monday, we saw the Mount Kenya leaders, including Senator Wamatangi here, say that, Wamatinga rather, that UDA should be having one deputy party leader. This is perhaps they wish reserved for Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. On the other end, from Western Kenya, we saw Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale tell Rigathi Gachagua that, look, after William Ruto's 10-year term is over, the presidency is coming to Western Kenya because, after all, Boni Halwale, is even more experienced politically than you, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, and saying that the DP is sponsoring young politicians to disrespect senior politicians in the country. As this is happening, the ODM and Azimio is also planning its own grassroots. We saw ODM now plans to have its elections. Raila Odinga has spoken about that. There is a conversation about who should be the flag bearer for Azimio in 2027. Initially, it appeared like Kalonzo Musyoka was being propped up. Then all of a sudden, 2 days, 3 days ago, it appears again that Raila Odinga suggests that he will be on the ballot yet again. So what exactly is happening? And to set us off, there is an upsound by Boni Halwale. Mike, let's get to listen to what Senator Halwale said.
Simunaona vile deputy president wa Kenya anatoka Mount Kenya anamangamanga dunia mzima akishughulika mambo ya nini? Wao wanako kimefanya. Yes, tunataka vile deputy president ameamua apiganie wakulima wake mambo ya kahawa, na mimi bullfighter, whether I'm deputy president or not, na mimi nitapigania mambo ya nini? Yes. Kwanza huyo deputy president anaingia na kasumba kwa kichwa yake. And because he's a deputy president, yeye ndiye anapanga Rutoto, sijui Malala, sijui Kawaya kule nini, sijui Omar Hassan Mombasa. Atinene ni kusukume Luya Landi na wewe Ukambani, ndio ufuruke senior politicians kwa hiyo area, ndio 2032 ikifika, hawa senior wasimchilie mimi deputy president. Listen to me, whether you like it or not, in 2032, wakati uliona Uhuru akatoka na Ruto akaingia, safari Ruto anatoka na Muluya anafanya nini? It has to be clear. Nobody at the national level or at the county level is going to play cheap politics on us.
Maran, trouble in paradise.
There's no trouble at all. None at all. And why do I say so? Let me take it like a family. We were born last year. And when you're born, you grow, you are taught manners, table manners, you are taught how to walk. Now we've reached a stage of, I may call it initiation, because that is the stage we are in, where we want to do our own party elections. And at that stage, every young kid wants to feel like they want to feel we are now growing up, we are now being mature. And in a family, it is normal. People, young kids, their brothers, siblings will fight amongst themselves. By the end of the day, the parents will call them to order when they see that this fighting is going too way off and say, come back, hey, this is not how you behave. But when you are okay, when your fightings are normal, they'll leave you to do your own wrestling. What am I saying? We are going to a stage where we are doing what we call grassroots elections. And in the grassroots elections, everyone wants to have a piece of their cake. From where I come from, I think I am looking at myself and saying, where do I fit in this jargon? Do I want to be the party leader at the constituency level, at the ward level, at the county level? Do I want to come to the national politics? It depends on how mature or how I feel that I should be, where I should be playing. So Senator Halwale feels like he should be playing at the deputy party leader's level. And he wants to create a space for himself. That's why he's saying, I want an extra space, make this family have 2 mothers instead of 1. The people from Mount Kenya, who is Wamatinga and Co, are saying, no, we have only 1 mother, 1 father. So let our mother and father remain as they are. The rest of us, let's just come below there and fight amongst ourselves. I think if we look at it, even right now, even within the Kalenjin community, we are having our own as well. Some kingpin, queenpin, and those kind of things. And all this is about saying, I am now getting ready for do I want to lead these people? And I like the joke that the president sometimes usually says. He says, you know, when people start saying kingpin, those you're putting yourself to be a community, a village leader, you know, a cattle dip head. So, but you need to bring yourself above those politics. So I think for me, the president
himself started out as a kingpin. He used that particular route. He started taking over the Rift Valley before now.
And that is why I'm saying, when there are kids together, some now come out because they've shown leadership style in them, and they show that they can actually be able to lead. So for me, I think I like how our party is dealing with this. Is that they're allowing all of us to vent and air and say our views, because when you close people in, then you don't even allow them to breathe, and one day they burst out. But now that we are all breathing and talking, then finally we all come to the table and say, so how do you want to be? But the structure is well known. We know that there is a party leader, deputy party leader, secretary general, and we know the positions we are all fighting for. So there is no argument about creating another deputy party leader.
You are an insider, so before I get to the other insider, let me go to an outsider to get his view. Orel, what is happening from where you sit in Kenya Kwanza?
Before you do an election in any political party, you might think you have it all. But when you do an election, that is where rubber meets the road. And from there is when you will know really whether you have your soldiers behind you. Now, what we are seeing in Kenya Kwanza, in fact, it has delayed. We thought it would happen earlier than this. They want to see, you know, as in ODM, we have carried out many grassroots elections. Yet, the Kenya Kwanza order, they have not carried out those elections. And when they do their elections, it is a political naivety to think that there is no turmoil. When you see Alwale speak with that vigor and against the sitting vice president, not candidly, but facing with the facts, then it means there is a serious problem. He is saying that the deputy president is planting people, the younger generation, to remove the older generation. And he is citing the secretary Malala. Giving, that is evidence, giving is not keeping his mind. He's releasing his mind to the people. Now, when we are talking about this and somebody is saying in a house, you know you grow. No, this is now politics. And they are going to see that after election, they will not have that one UDA the way they are. People will have to move out to look for greener pastures.
This is after 9th of December.
Yes. And you see, they are saying we only have one vice president. No, those are party rules, and they can be changed with NDC, the National Delegates Conference. They can be changed anytime, and they put 7 vice presidents, like it has been changed before, or 3 or 2, depending on the interests of individuals and regions. So we are waiting to see how they are going to handle the interests of the regions, especially Western, the way I am seeing. Alwale has said in 32, they will want to have their own.
We are coming.
Now we are talking on their party, not ours. That is theirs. Ours, we are intact. We are waiting for them.
Are you? You'll be coming to your party. You'll be coming to your party. But Basil, Boni Halwale's claim is that in Western, Cleopas Malala is being propped up, and the UDA leaders here would be telling us that in your region, Mheshimiwa Kawaya is being propped up. He's the youngling in this particular case. In the Coast region, Hassan Omar is being propped up. He's the youngling again. And
Central.
In Central Kenya, the deputy president. No. But again, on the other hand, they are saying Ndindi Nyoro is being propped up against the deputy president. We shall be getting from the horse's mouth. But what is your take on the infightings within Kenya Kwanza?
You see, what we are seeing, there are symptoms of a big problem that Kenyans are yet to see. And if you look at now Azimio, we are reorganizing ourselves so that we can be the option for the dissatisfied quarters within the UDA coalition. I'll call it coalition because there are other parties within the UDA. Because ideally, for someone of caliber of Bona Halwale to come out and indicate the issues or the suffocation is getting in the party, particularly from the deputy president, is an indicator of big problems that are happening within the party. And this is to tell you, maybe there is no democracy within UDA. So this is a high time for the people who are dissatisfied with UDA to join Wiper Party, because Wiper, together with ODM, that's where the future of the country is, you know. And again, it is also shameful at this point in time when Kenyans are really suffering. They are talking of party wrangles. We should be hearing them disagreeing on issues affecting common man, where they are disagreeing, saying the president, what you are doing is wrong. These are the kind of disagreement we should expect to see. But from what we are reading, these are personal disagreements. And it tells you the people who are in that group, they are not there for the interests of Kenyans. It is a time they should be telling Mama Mboga, all Kijano and Boda Boda, saying we are disagreeing with you, Mr. President, because the policy that brought us to power was to uplift these people. But now we are suppressing them completely. If you look at what is going on, like now there is no traffic. Few people can afford to fuel their cars. Sure. The border people are nowhere to be seen because they can't be able to fuel their borders. And it is unfortunate at this point in time when things are unbearable, we are seeing people disagreeing on party issues, on personal agendas, when the common man needs to know what is the solution of the party. What is the solution? In terms of assisting these people meet the needs, their basic needs, and also mitigating the challenges they are facing.
Very valid concerns you're raising there. And Mheshimiwa Matinga, you're one person who's very close to the Deputy President. In fact, I would say that if I don't get to see to hear the Deputy President's position by himself speaking, I would hear it from you. You are in Nyeri, speaking about the deputy party leadership and saying, and you are with your governor, Mutahi Kahiga, speaking about the deputy party leadership. And there are these salvos coming from within. Maran is calling them growing as a house and growing into initiation and such. What exactly is happening, especially to your friend, the Deputy President, and what appears like infightings?
Let me first of all start by setting this record straight. It is all over the media. The Deputy President, the President are on record, several, even before we won the elections, saying that they must, and it is their obligation to nurture young leaders so that when they are out of leadership, they leave these countries in hands of experienced leadership. The Deputy President has, on several occasions, mentioned the same. He's spoken about the young leadership, and what Harwara is saying is actually very true. The Deputy President and the President are very, very intentional. And that is why if you look at the committees, especially in the Senate, most of them, even the very challenging ones, were given to first-timers, to young leaders, so that they can grow up in a challenging environment to become capable leaders for tomorrow. Having said that, it is important also to say that the party as it is, and I would want to tell Mheshimiwa that there is no vacuum in any system. You have the different arms and different arms of the party doing different things. When you talk about party dynamics, it's about discussing how the party should be formed to reflect the government. We have a constitution whereby we have one president, we have one deputy president. The party should reflect the same. That does not mean that there is any infighting. Maran has said siblings rivalry. Yes, siblings rivalry. It is about the discussion of how best can we form a party that will surpass our generation and maybe be there the next couple of generations. Why has Tanzania been able with CCM or South Africa with ANC successfully form a successful government? In Kenya, we know since multi-party democracy, there is no one single party that has sponsored a presidential candidate twice. We want to break that record. We want to form a party that will be able to outlive ourselves and be able to take the next generation. Why? We have a country which is governed by parties without party manifestos. We want to ensure that what we talk about, we know Kibaki talked about Vision 2030. We remember about the Big Four agenda. And we must be able, now we are talking about the plan, we must be able to anchor that within a party, because some of these things cannot be achieved within a decade. Some of them are long-term investments. These are long-term plans, and they can only be consistent if the party that's ruling is also consistent.
Let me use your words, Mheshimiwa. You've said that the President and the Deputy President are very intentional about nurturing young leadership.
Yes.
That you've said. Would the Deputy President, and I'm asking this because you're his closest, one of the closest allies I know, would the Deputy President, in the spirit of nurturing and supporting young leadership, support Ndindi Nyoro for SG?
Indeed, let me tell you, The president is on record. The deputy president is on record. And I'm happy even Karware spoke about it. He said, if I'm able to deliver, improve the prices of coffee, tea, milk, and other cash crops, I'll be happy to go back home. He's on record. Several said that. He said there is no pride in ruling over a country where people are poor. There is no pride in ruling a country where people are deprived of their means of living because they cannot get cash, good prices from their farm yield. This, I would say that it is the preparedness of the president and the deputy president to exit politics in a way that they've lived this country better than they have.
You haven't answered my question.
The question I said, indeed, he can.
He can.
Didi is a young reader,
but
like
word on
Meto,
the street is that the deputy president is supporting Cleopas Malala for SG so that Ndindi Nyoro does not get it. Would you confirm or deny?
No, that's contrary. If you listen to our meeting, we said that SG must come from Mount Kenya. If you did listen carefully, we said the SG must come from Mount Kenya region, and we're talking about numbers. I do not know where Karware is talking about the numbers because numbers don't lie. And you cannot ignore our numbers. You cannot.
Marianne.
And I think if you look at how the structure of the elections has come, we are starting from the grassroots. And every polling station will have about 20 delegates. Those are the 20 delegates that will decide all through to the top who is going to be the SG. And as Senator Amatinga said, numbers don't lie. So it's about the numbers. If Mount Kenya has the numbers to give the SG position to the person they want, if they convince us as a Rift Valley to join in our hands together and say this is the party, the SG, then well and good. So let's start with the grassroots elections. Let's come up. I may also decide and say I also want to be SG. So let's wait and see. We are now fronting names, yet those people themselves have not come out to say they want to be
If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck.
I think
and just before he says, we've talked about Ndindi Nyoro being SG, and one thing I want to say is that it's about numbers. The deputy president may or may not say that he wants Ndindi Nyoro, I don't know, but he only has one vote. I have one vote, and everybody else will have one vote. It's about numbers. So that's why I'm saying again, if we all agree, after the grassroots elections have been done, and in the delegates, we all agree and say, we want this particular person. Oh, that person comes and campaigns and says they want that seat. If they convince us, that's the person we will vote for.
Mheshimiwa, as you're coming in, you can as well tell us, because we have seen conversations happening, even of folding up this particular side of the political divide, folding up constituent parties, Ford Kenya, ANC, to form UDA. And there are, you must not ignore, there is the presence of Musalia Mudavadi, who's a political heavyweight in the country. There's equally the presence of Speaker Wetangula, who is another political heavyweight. So when we are talking about folding up of parties, yet President William Ruto can only do a maximum 10 years, and all these other people are politicians with ambitions. What do you think are they driving at?
First, which is the most expensive bank in this country? Which is the most stable bank? Take this to the most stable bank. They will not fold their parties. Ford Kenya will not fold. ANC will not fold. Because they have examples. We leave history so that we can define the future. When URP folded to go to Jubilee Party, they can never forget. And that is why the deputy president had a rough time then. Nobody in his senses will fold his political party to join another political party, because that is what they use for bargaining. If Wetangula was in UDA, he would not be the speaker today. But he used his party, Ford Kenya, to bargain as a speaker now. So this notion that they will form their political, they will fold their political parties and join one. You call me back after their elections so that we can debate that here when it happens, because it is not the way. But I want to take it with them that numbers don't lie. Let us not use our numerical strength every time to push an agenda that is not consistent with the requirement and demands of other parts of the country. We cannot always say that because we have numbers, we must have the Secretary General, we must have the Vice President, and we must have the President. No. Although in a democracy, we always say that majority will have their way, minority have their say.
Yes, that is
But
it.
that one, in a political setup where we have many tribes, where we have tribes with a lot of interests. And that is why people will always say that why can't we change this constitution that we have a rotational president or deputy president, so that not people with a high number of votes always would want to dictate for the others what they want. So me, I am saying that why don't they be contented with the vice president and they release the secretary general to other people also who are in other parties? So when they come with a, but I'm also
in other regions.
Yes, other regions.
Okay, I need
But
to
I'm
go to
in
Mheshimiwa Basil, but Mike needs to direct me. Sorry for cutting you short. I need to go to Mheshimiwa Basil. But Mike, Mabel, do I take the break first or we take a break first? All right. So we take a break. When we come back, we start with Basil, the Member of Parliament, Yata constituency, on what is happening within Kenya Kwanza. And the debate is hot, as you can tell. Keep engaging us on X and all our social media platforms at NTV Kenya all across. My name is Ibrahim Karanja. All right, welcome back to AM Live. This is AM Live NTV. My name is Ibrahim Karanja. We continue with our discussion. And before I go to Mheshimiwa Basil, there are some reactions that I'm seeing on X. And these are actually on Mheshimiwa Marian's comment that the house is intact and at the end of the day, the parents will come and call you to order. Someone says, Duke of Simbolioshire says, it doesn't matter what she says, that means you. The cracks are wide enough to be seen by everyone. Another one, Derek Kimandi says, Wongo, Kenya Kwanza ni kujitetea, that there are cracks. Many comments seem to be sort of believing that there are differences in Kenya Kwanza. But Basil, what?
Do you want me to react to that, then you go to Basil?
Let's go to Basil. When you come, we'll join all your reactions together. Okay. Basil.
Yeah, of course, as I indicated, there are serious concerns and issues within Kenya Kwanza. And it tells you the rule of democracy doesn't seem to apply in Kenya Kwanza. Because you are seeing people who are seasoned politically now complaining. And when you see a man going to the people, complaining to his people, it means he has tried to tolerate the situation he's in, but now it's beyond his control. That's why he's seeking support of his community. You saw what Bona Alware was doing yesterday. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. And this is to tell you, it is a time now for people who are dissatisfied with the Kenya Kwanza to join the parties who believe in democracy, who believe in meritocracy. And this party, you don't need to search very far, is in Azimio coalition.
This is the second time this is actually the second time you're extending an invitation on this show.
Yes, and more so the Wiper Party, where there is clean, no scandals, nothing. So, and again, because as members of parliament, as people's representative, let's also not forget about what's going on, particularly to the common person, as I've said earlier, that these people are suffering. And now we should not be discussing party issues. More focus should be how do we support the people who are really finding it very hard to exist. And that should be the talk every single day. But now, when you hear people talking about party politics, etc., this is more of personal interest, agendas that are not fulfilled by the party. And as a result, people going and saying, we are this, we want to leave, etc. But of course, we welcome them. Those who can't fit in Kenya Kwanza, there is more space for you within the Azimio coalition.
Are you taking the invitation?
Well, let me start by saying this, Karanja. It's only a foolish bird that will build its nest on an old banana. And ODM and Azimio is actually, they are fading out.
ODM is the strongest party so far in terms of having survived more elections than any other party.
Well, yes, but you see, look at the party leadership. Why the president and the deputy president are very eager to ensure that they nurture the next generation is to ensure that there is succession. Yes. I would want us to remove the face of Raila Odinga from ODM. I would want us to remove the face of Kalonzo Musyoka from Wiper. Those parties are dead. That's the mistake that we've done for the last 60 years. We have, and that is why people like Akina Karware are becoming a bit jittery, because they are not able to handle the competition from younger politicians. We must admit and agree that we are fathers, we are mothers, and we have children who will at one point overtake us. Karware is finding himself in a very unfamiliar ground because Marara is coming out very, very strongly. And we must give it to this young generation, your age and the like. They have more energy. They are not. They are more proactive, and most importantly, they can get in touch with now the current generation. If you look at the next elections, over 70% of the voters will be under 40 years. So what are we talking about? We are talking about somebody who's 70, 80 years will have it very hard to even relate with them. And that is why the president and the deputy president are actually intentionally putting concerted effort to ensure that the younger generation of politicians are coming up, the likes of Marara and so many of them, the likes of Dindi, so that now tomorrow will belong to people who are well versed.
The younger generation that you're speaking about, wind up so that as you wind up, the younger generation that you're speaking about is fighting. The younger generation does not seem to soberly agree on matters. Look at what we saw in Bomet just the other day between Senator Sigei and Governor Barchok, and that particular meeting that also had Silvana Sosoro in it. Look at what we saw in Nandi when Senator Cherargei decided to engage CS Murkomen. I mean,
let me put it this way. Buffaloes have never graced together because they love each other. They grace together because they must protect each other. These young politicians also have a political space to fight for. You cannot sit and wait for it to be given to you. You have to create your space. And unfortunately, creating your space will mean that you'll have to hold the ground and you have to protect that ground. Just as it is within the business environment. You have competitors, and you must be also very, very thorough with your competitors. Otherwise, they'll overlearn you. As we nurture the young generations, then they have the obligation and duty to ensure that they become noticed, that they also rise above their instruments. So it doesn't mean because they're being nurtured, it will be given to them in a silver platter. No, no, to the contrary. They have to fight for it. And this infighting that has been seen among these young politicians, I think it's something that we know all too well. It has been seen previously. It's not something that's very new. And I therefore think that we should not bury our head in the sand and say this is a new thing. It is, of course, something that one would say it is not desirable, but it is political competition, and it belongs to it.
Marian, just to give you another example of the younger generation fighting, Mohammed Ali, Hassan Sarai in Mombasa, and it goes beyond the party. Even within the government, as is the administration, we are seeing ministers fighting the deputy president. Look at Moses Kuria making tweets that, like I said, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, then it is. I mean, Moses Kuria, even at one point, seemed to be fighting the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Didmas Baraza has come out against Cleopas Malala. So there are infightings. And as you do this, respond to that reaction that the viewer had.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, one thing we need to appreciate is that the generation and the times we are living in are different from where we were. One, we have to appreciate that we have now what we call democracy, which Mheshimiwa here said, the minority will always have their say, the majority will always have their say, their way. And if you look at all these infightings we are talking about, it's about everyone getting their space. And that is how our politics has become. Previously, it used to be when the boss coughs, you all keep quiet. But today, everyone says, hey, boss, no, you are wrong here, you are right here. And you've seen even within ourselves, we even tell even our party leader or everybody else that on this one, no, you are wrong, you should go this way. And he listens to us, and that is why he calls us for meetings. So when we go for these meetings, as Kenya Kwanza, not as UDA, we are able to tell him, please, on this one, go slow. On this one, yes, we can pick it up. So that he feels that we are all working together. There is nobody who is closed up. And that's why I said we have that democracy. We are being led and being allowed to speak out, to feel ourselves. And then when you reach a certain level that you feel that the leadership feels that you are now going overboard, so they'll call us together and say, hey, please don't go overboard. You're allowed to play within this field. But if you go beyond this bridge, you will fall into the water. You will be eaten by, those kind of things. But having said that, many people have called to say, yes, we can see the divisions.
But the cracks are
widening. We are going through an election. And this is grassroots elections. Everyone wants to have their space. And in an election, it's normal. Any election, everyone wants to show their weight, They want to show their prowess. Because how else would you elect me if I keep quiet? I have to come out to show that I'm fighting, I am able to take care of your interests. And that's the reason why you're seeing all these issues coming up. The moment these grassroots elections are over, we are back to the drawing board.
But beyond the party? Look at the cabinet. Beyond the party elections, we are seeing differences in the cabinet.
And I'll get there, but I wanted to say that Mheshimiwa Basil was saying that we are busy doing our grassroots elections, forgetting about the Kenyan Mwananchi. I want to tell him, on the contrary, we actually are all alert. And I think as Waheshimiwas in Parliament, our role is oversight. And I think even us as Kenya Kwanza, we actually are doing our oversight role very well. Let's take an example of the division of
we move.
the Kindiki's prices. Remember when they gazetted? I was on record last week as a Kenya Kwanza parliamentarian who said that he has not done public participation. These are wrong. And if nobody goes to court, we will go to Parliament and ask that this be corrected, because we passed in Parliament and said no government body executive will not pass regulations or rules without them coming to the National Assembly. Sure. And I'm happy, yesterday, he actually degazetted these particular divisions and has brought it for public participation.
Let's move to
so, as much as we are saying that we have forgotten what is what we're supposed to do in government, we are actually going with the ship. We know the plan and we are implementing the plan.
You're still on the plan, Orero?
Yes.
You know, I get disturbed when my colleague says they are doing oversight. I think there's no oversight they're doing. This is a rogue CS. A rogue CS who comes up one day to announce the increase of a birth certificate, an ID card, which is a right to a Kenyan citizen, of a marriage certificate, and saying that men should not marry. Because where are you going to get 50,000 to pay? And our young men have no jobs. Replacing the passport, people should not travel outside this country. And gazettes unilaterally, without consultation, without public participation. And by the way, you know, Kindiki was almost becoming a vice president. He contested. He was almost being a vice president.
He was the second favorite.
Yes, second favorite. And is the Minister Internal Security. So this is a rogue person that comes and wants Kenyans to believe that this government, there is no infighting. We cannot do this, that you gazette and then you degazette. When power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. That is what we are witnessing here. That now we are seeing that there is absolute power that he wants to exercise, but exercising in the wrong way.
Because actually, come to think of it, as you're going on, it's gazetted, then later says, I've degazetted for public participation. Yes. I thought it ought to have started with public participation.
True. Yes. That is why we are saying...
One wrong, when you make a mistake, does not mean that you
don't
correct
it. In a government system, I worked in government. In a government system, before you gazette, it means it has gone through very many channels. And I can assure you that you must report to the highest office possible. You cannot do things on your own accord. So it means that this is a policy that they were trying the Kenyans to see really whether we will absorb. But Kenyans now, we have created a democratic space where we will say this one will not happen to Kenyans. How can you charge somebody who has just completed high school that you tell him or her to pay 2,000 to acquire an identity to show that he or she is a Kenyan? In fact, it should be completely free. And if we were still now persuading young people to register as voters, you can imagine if you want to charge a young person 2,000 to register as a voter, where are we going? So we are saying that when you look at what the CS Murkomen is saying, what the CS Kindiki is saying, what the CS Wahome is saying, they are all at variance. So we are in a system where that all the government agencies are not working together.
Are not working together.
Yeah. So it means that the system is collapsing.
So there is a problem.
There is a problem. If you see Baraza tweeting that really they are now eating the big boys. They got the big boys are eating with the big spoon.
Yes.
But not only that, after eating with a big spoon, they spit into the shoes of the poor, those without the shoes. Yet their shoes are shining. So that is a big phenomenal statement that we must take very seriously, because Baraza is one of those ranked individuals in Kenya Kwanza.
Sure.
So it means that what we are getting from these people is really, this is a falling system, to say the least.
Falling system. We'll get to their reaction. You find yourself on the hot seat today.
Yes.
I wanted to add my voice, particularly to what my brother has just mentioned, Honorable Peter, because Maran indicated that they are doing oversight. But I want to tell her that what they are doing is not oversight. It's basically sanitizing flawed policies and systems, things which are not reflecting and resonating with the reality. Maran, she needs to understand, as members of parliament, we have a sole duty. Part of it is representation and oversight. Representation doesn't mean you go and sit with the president, you massage the president, regardless or despite the cries of your people. Your representation means you convey the grievances, the issues, the people who gave you the mandate to represent them have. And that is where I want to correct and disagree with her that they are doing oversight.
Even as you continue,
and
even as you continue, we had of reports from last week, so is it 2 weeks ago, when we had that parliamentary group meeting, that actually Kenya Kwanza members of parliament told the president that things are not good. That it is the president's response, that you don't have to be popular all the time. You be popular when it matters. However, to be fair on the members of parliament, if the reports we got from the PG are true, then they told the president the truth.
Those who indicated, there is only a few, not all of them. Is one person who said the ground has shifted. But if you look at history, the chronology of events, they were able to pass a law which they know is going to be harmful to the Kenyans. The taxation bills. Myself and few members from Azimio, we opposed it. And this is a law that has put us where we are today. Today, many Kenyans cannot afford even to meet the basics. If you come to the education system, they revised the whole system of funding our level of learning and brought a system that is not working. If you look at majority of the poor now, their kids can't go to school. Yesterday, I received numerous calls from my constituents saying that universities, colleges are demanding all fees must be cleared for anyone to sit for exams. These kind of demands, you can imagine, poor parents cannot be able to raise the money needed by schools for their kids to sit for exams. And this, as a result, you'll find quite a number are going to miss out. They have been prepared to sit for exams, yet they can't sit for the same exam. Because of a system that has been completely destroyed. We had to have the best funding model. Myself, I went through HELB system. The old generation, they went through boom, where they never used to pay anything. Now here we have Maran, who I think she's a beneficiary of HELB, and they cannot advise the president telling him what you are doing is wrong. You cannot have a selective funding model, only funding few individuals when you know for sure your people are struggling. Majority of people can't afford. Now education is left for the rich. Now if you talk of the other day, they were trying to do sourcing jobs for young people in Kenya, of which to me I call it modern slavery. Instead of generating jobs right here in Kenya, you want your people to go. And then ironically, they introduce new charges on passports. So if you make it impossible for someone to obtain a passport, how do you expect these people to be able to go and look for jobs overseas? So it means you are preaching these of today, but tonight what you are saying doesn't seem to resonate with how things are.
It's actually interesting, and I would say it's a retrogression from, this is my observation, retrogression from a bill or an act that was sponsored in the previous parliament by the nominated MP Gideon Keter. Remember, he had an act in which demands such as clearance, ESCC clearance, and so many other things that the youth needed to clear to get a job were cancelled out, and President Uhuru Kenyatta, retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, assented to it. But right now, new things being introduced. Is it not a clawback, even as you respond? Let's start with Maran.
Okay,
go first.
Thank you very much. Let me first of all start by saying, Mheshimiwa, indeed, when we had our PG, we told the president the way things are. And as he said, it's only one of a few of us who spoke. True, we cannot speak at the same time. I am among the first who spoke, and we said about the responsiveness of the CSCs to us as the Member of Parliament. It was raised on the floor. We spoke
this
also
is
about
in the PG last week.
In the PG last week. We also raised, and I think it came from Senator Veronica, about the cost of living and there not being any other additional charges. I think it was raised. Let me also say that Kindiki, what he had done, it's actually improper, because before you change, you put for such a regulations, you need to do a public participation. However, him being one of the best performing CSs, I'm very happy because he changed his mind. It's only a fool who doesn't change his mind. But having said that, we spoke about taxation, the model, the finance bill that Mheshimiwa also alluded to. Let me say that a country to run its economy must use monetary and fiscal policies. We do not need to go back to where we found ourselves. Let's ask ourselves the question, what is the fiscal policies in America doing to our Kenyan economy? The contraction is the mopping of the dollar. What is it doing to our economy? Having that at the back of our mind, where could we have been if we had not done some of the things that we've done? Give it to the president and his executive. They're actually doing a good job to avoid the further slip of the economy downwards. That if not, the trajectory has turned, now it's facing upward. It is because of some of these policies that we put in place. We know that our budget has been run with a lot of foreign support. It is the first time that we did a budget without having to rely on foreign support. Let me also remind the Waheshimiwas, when Kibaki came to power, we were collecting 2 billion. He said we must collect 1 trillion. We came into power when we were collecting 2 point something. Now we are saying we must collect 3.3 trillion. Why? We must become self-reliant.
Let him correct himself that they have done a budget without foreign support. I don't think that is the truth, because they have kept borrowing.
Well,
and they have borrowed
budgetary support.
Gentlemen,
I waited you to finish. Maybe it's only fair that you wait for me to finish. I gave you the chance to finish.
Because when you mislead, we have to intercept. 10
seconds interjection.
Because I wanted to tell him, for record, within 9 months, President Ruto was able to borrow over 1 trillion Kenya shillings. The same period, President Uhuru borrowed 500 billion.
Yes.
So when you say we are able to fund our budget without external borrowing, then you are lying to Kenyans.
Well, I would want also to put this to them. We must not be blind to the happenings of the global economy. We are dealing with a dollar that's gaining in value because the Americans are mopping their dollars. So it means that if we had loans of debts of 9.6 trillion. Now, because of the appreciating dollar, our loans are more. So our obligation, financial obligation to repay are becoming more without having the advantage of having spent the money. So what I'm saying is, as readers, we have the obligation to tell our people the truth, to tell us the trajectory is moving in the right direction, to give them not only hope, but to explain to them what is happening without looking at party alignment.
Marian, I'm trying to look at the clock. That's
I think there is something.
We're coming to you, Orero.
Marian, thank you. You know, because I'm a lady, they are trying to...
That's why I'm left. That's I'm left for you.
Anyway, you know, as Kenya Kwanza, we subscribe to a manifesto. And the manifesto is what we call the plan. So, wherever we are, at the National Assembly, in Senate, and at the executive, everyone is implementing the plan. So, when you say that we are not oversighting, for example, when the amendments to the NHIF came, that is part of the plan that we are implementing. Why would I want to go against my own plan that we sold to the Kenyan people and say we are going to give you social health care? When we talk about things like education, he has talked about education and the changes in education. I think we need to appreciate that the population we have now is not the same population we had before. We need to appreciate that the method that was used to fund universities then is not working today, because look at the universities. The debts that they have are so huge, and many universities were closing. And I think he knows that there are universities, like Moi University was closing, Kenyatta University, Nairobi University, all these universities were closing. And why?
But what's the problem? Because of the model or because
you know, we used to take capitation to those universities, and then they fund the courses, and then the courses were then reduced to be, I think a course was about, the Kenyan the student was paying about 32,000 or 60,000 shillings a year, and out of that they used to get now help, which they would pay that particular amount of money to pay the school fees. The system has changed, and instead of giving the capitation to the university, we're now giving it to the student. And the students have been categorized. There is the students who come from very poor background who will get 100% scholarship. Those who come from a lesser background who will get 80% scholarship, 20% loan. Then we come down like that, and it's aggregated to a point where my child, for example, I earn a salary. I can afford that fee. Instead of them being given that scholarship, I can pay for myself and get that money to a needy student. Look, for example, today, I take my student out of the country, my kid out of the country, and I pay all that fee.
Because you can afford it.
Because I can afford. So why can't I do the same? No. Before I finish, allow me.
The moderator said
No,
that
allow
you
me.
have you can never finish.
No,
10
there's
seconds.
only one
10, and I'm actually
one
checking.
aspect. So one other aspect I wanted to say is the other accusation we are being given is that we are not creating jobs here, we are taking jobs abroad. But I think if he is in parliament and he sees what we are passing in parliament, we are creating more EPZs, we are creating more SEZ, KIPES, which we've been busy launching, and I think there's even in their own areas, because all those are creating, and more importantly, affordable housing. Because we have said we want to create employment, and we are creating employment. So we need to appreciate.
Point is home.
Yes.
One thing that she has accepted, and they are both accepted, that they told the president that the ground has shifted. I think I'm very happy that they have agreed that really
The ground has shifted.
The ground has not shifted. It is
And,
cost of living is gone up.
I thought
That's
I will left you to talk. And when they are talking about the living standards that the Kenyans are facing, the economic situation that we are facing, they have just said that they told the president that the ground is bad. And what are they doing to change this? Because every day the taxations are increasing. So is that how they want to bring down the prices of commodities? And I want to say, what the foundation of any country must be the value of education. We must have value in education, especially in higher institutions of learning. That is what will increase and will look, that is the foundation. And when they are saying that the universities had a debt, I know they had about 77 billion debts. It is not because of the help. It is because of poor management and other things. She's saying now the capitation is not going directly to the university. I know the capitation is going also, we have capitation to the universities, not just the students. So what we are saying is that the education system must be properly managed. The parameters used to determine who is more vulnerable and who is more low, those parameters, they cannot be...
Mike is running the music.
Validated.
As we exit.
I wanted to correct Marianne when she indicated the growing population is what is causing challenges in managing our level of education. She needs to understand something called economies of scale. When you have more learners in an institution, it means you are backing on more money coming in to support your learning system. And the facilities you are utilizing, you extend a little bit. So you can't say the growing population in the universities is what is making them to revise the model. They need to understand, and if they don't, they seek, you know, they request for support from experts. So that we can be able to guide them and tell them what should be done. Initially, many Kenyans used to take that money abroad to study. Most of them now, they are studying right here.
In the country.
And instead of taking advantage of that and actually being happy that many Kenyans now want to learn within the country and be able to model the quality of education. You are actually destroying
Fair enough. And we have really eaten into the time for your world as Zainab Ismail prepares to come in. And I know my director, Mike, will be fining me for this. But thank you very much, lady, gentlemen, for joining us this morning. This conversation is not over. Like I said, I'm passing it to Dan Mongi that we have to bring back this panel and continue with this discussion, because it is a discussion that really needs a lot of time for Kenyans to understand where the country is and the perspective of our representatives, our members of parliament, both in the National Assembly and in the Senate. But that is AM Live. It has been a pleasure to host you this morning. My name is Ibrahim Karanja. The conversation continues on X and Facebook, on Instagram, and even on our website at ntvkenya.co.ke. So please follow up on everything that is happening. Thank you very much. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.